Any questions about anything?
Is there even a choice for a seeker to be a disciple and a disciple to be a devotee?
No.
Choice is an illusion.
Not really. You're right.
It's just a tendency.
Yes. You're going to do whatever you came here to do. But the only choice you have in life is not to identify with the body. So when you don't identify with the body, you will actually gravitate to where you're supposed to be. And the right thing will happen. But you're right. We have no choice.
There's no me.
Exactly. This is why I say, those of us who have come here, it is not by choice, it is no accident. You're here because that's where you're supposed to be, that's the way it is. And I'm here because that's where I'm supposed to be. I never chose to be a teacher. I never chose to be anything. But I'm here and you're here. So what are we going to do about it? Why complain?
It's a living.
It's living.
If there's no choice, then you also can't choose whether or not to identify with the body.
That's the only freedom you've got.
Do you have that freedom?
You have that freedom.
But that's plain out and out choice.
That's the only choice you've got.
I was under the impression there was no choice or whatever, period.
There is no choice whatsoever, period, except not to react to conditions and not to identify with the body. If it weren't for that, we'd be automatons. But we're not automatons. The awareness in us, the reality, makes us have that choice. Not to identify with the body and not to react to any condition. Everything else is predetermined.
To the extent I don't believe that, then I have a me.
No, you don't.
Or I think I have a me.
As long as you believe you have a me, you have a choice. In reality, you don't have a me. But if you were speaking from reality, the question would be redundant. There would be no need for the question.
I don't quite understand, though.
As long as you believe that you have a me, then you have a choice.
Choice whether I'm going to be a seeker, disciple, or devotee?
No. The choice is, again, whether to identify with the body or not.
I understand that. That clearly I understand. And I believe
that's the only choice you've got.
Well, I don't believe that, though.
You've got the choice because you are a me. You believe you're a me.
I see.
And when you don't believe you're a me, and you're not a me, then there's nothing. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody to talk about a choice.
So the question is, according to how much I think I'm a me, and I don't believe that things are predetermined. In other words, I seem to think or feel I have a choice if I want to be a disciple or a devotee, or I'm going to go somewhere or not go somewhere.
It appears that way. But again, you're speaking from an ego viewpoint.
Right. And that's the me that's blocking from understanding whether that's actually true or not what you're saying.
If you were not the me, there would be no one to ask that question. That question wouldn't even come up. But as long as you're the me, then you're thinking whether you have a choice or not. Just the thinking about it shows you that you're a me. You follow? So this is addressed to me's.
I think that what is arising with you and possibly with you and bothered me for a while is Ramesh teaches all that you need to do is believe that you aren't a me. And the teachings itself will perform their work, even though they obviously are still feeling like a me. In other words, he obviates practice. Practice is not necessary. But I think it becomes a kind of conceptual Advaita that way, because he says practice is not necessary, just listening to the teachings, and there's no practice, and I don't think there's much enlightenment from that point of view. In other words, he says, believe you're Krishna, and and deny that you're Arjuna, even though you really are Arjuna in the everyday life.
He's got a point to an extent. It's like the razor's edge. The reason I like to say that is because for new people, it gives them license to do what they like, to become arrogant and belligerent. And they say, I am total awareness. It makes no difference what I do. I can kill animals. I can do anything. Nothing matters. I've seen many people with those attitudes who are just beginners. So you've got to be careful. That's why Ramana Maharshi was so wise. And he taught the two ways. One of bhakti, of self-surrender, and one of atma-vicharya. And they're both correct.
With those, if you're coming from a tamasic tendencies, Ramesh says that if you have these tendencies to go out and be arrogant, it wouldn't matter if you listen to those teachings or not. You're going to go out and be arrogant. There isn't any choice. Those tendencies will take you that way anyway.
This is true. So the secret is not to identify with the tendencies or the body, but to identify with the self. And that'll take care of everything. But to identify with the self is sometimes not the easiest thing to do. So you have to practice certain disciplines, certain meditations, surrendering yourself to God, and things of that nature. And this will make you humble. It'll give you humility. Then that will automatically lead to atma-vicharya, self-inquiry. And everything will happen of its own accord. We have to be very careful, especially we as Westerners, not to believe that I am consciousness and I am God and I am ultimate oneness. We realize that this is the ultimate truth about ourselves. But then watch yourself. Watch your actions. See what you're really all about. Don't use truth to cover up your weaknesses. For example, if you're a drug user, it is true if you come to satsang, and if you understand the realities, eventually you'll stop using drugs. But in the meantime, you do the best you can, physically, mentally, and otherwise, to stop the habit. And it's all preordained anyway. But you do the best you can. And as you follow the teachings, everything will take care of itself. What do you think of that?
Could it lead to a neurosis? You're trying the best you can to do something. It's not preordained for that to happen. So you keep trying and keep trying.
Well, the only neurosis you have is you believe that you're the body. That's a neurosis. When you take your mind off the body, then you will know what to do to stop the drug habit.
Well, what if it's not preordained that you're going to stop the drug habit?
Then you won't do it. But if you realize your choice is not to identify with the drug habit, not to identify with the body, not to react to it, that feeling alone will cause something positive to happen.
Like possibly not having drugs anymore?
Exactly.
All right, okay. So my answer, that whole question I had is answered.
If you say so.
I mean, it's not like a set, this preordained matter is not like a set box.
I hate to use those words sometimes, because you may say to yourself, well, if it's preordained, that means I should keep on taking heroin.
Right.
And we go for the rest of our life taking heroin. We say, well, it's preordained, what are we going to do? I might as well enjoy it. So you've got to be real careful with that. It's preordained to the extent that you're identifying with the situation. That's preordained. So as soon as you start to identify with the self, with total awareness, then things begin to change. Changes will come. They have to.
Yeah, that's totally understood. Good experience.
And that will happen when it's ordained to happen.
Yes, it will.
There's no you that can make it happen.
Exactly. Everything is preordained, predetermined. Is that clear enough? The only
you get in the way then, if it's all preordained. The separate me, the separate you appears as though it's getting in the way and slowing down the process, dragging its heels.
Of course.
That's the appearance.
That's the appearance.
But actually, it isn't so. Things are going exactly as
the way they're supposed to
go.
Yes.
Precisely.
But do not identify with that. Identify with the self.
Yeah.
And that'll take care of itself. Then you will have no time to think how slow things are. Or how fast they are. As I mentioned earlier, if you work spontaneously, if you stay centered in the now, then there will be no time to feel sorry for yourself or think about your habits. And by not thinking about your habits, pure meditation takes place. They stop of their own accord.
Nobody stops them, they just do it automatically, spontaneously.
Because you never really had them.
Well, they appeared.
The appearance is there.
As it may have been.
And the appearance comes that you stopped it too.
Pardon?
The appearance is that you stopped it.
No, I didn't do anything.
Exactly.
I'm just watching the show.
There's nothing to do. And there's no one to watch.
Right. But there is watching.
Who watches?
No one.
So
just watching only.
Watching doesn't even exist.
Which is awareness.
That doesn't even exist.
Isn't that who?
Awareness does not exist. As we spoke about it Sunday, remember? Those are just terms, concepts for the Ayani to talk about. Pure awareness,
No, consciousness. Well, then it will just be reduced to silence, because any term we use, we put up, will shoot it down.
Now you've got it. That's it.
Okay, fair enough. Morgan. Again, it comes to the mind shutting up, shutting down.
So ask yourself, who has to shut up? Nobody. There's nobody home.
Sounds good. Has the smell of freedom. The whiff of freedom.
There seems to be a difference between the conceptual practice and practice also, though. It seems to me that a lot of people who I saw at Ramesh's teachings were more into conceptual stuff. And I think that the same danger comes out. Is maybe not as much license to do something, but they think they've attained something. They think they've attained something substantial, a substantial realization, when they just understand conceptually what it is they should be having an experience of. So they take a really sound conceptual understanding to be the experience itself, and maybe are deluded.
Who knows? I don't compare teachers. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't have a teaching. I'm just here. Nothing is planned. What method I'm going to use?
No format.
No format. This is not even a teaching. It's nothingness, emptiness. You can call it whatever you like.
Are you able to share that?
With who?
Me.
But you don't exist.
Well, theoretically speaking, us, those who come to, quote, sit at your feet.
It's up to you to pick it up. I'm just here.
That then depends entirely on the rightness of the quotes.
Oh, that's right, because to me, there's no one with whom to share. Because I see you as me. There's only one.
We all appear exactly that way. All everywhere.
Everything is the same.
Not just here, everyone you see.
Again, it's like a mirror and its reflection. I identify with the mirror, but I also see the reflection. But I realize the reflection is the mirror.
The mirror bamboozling itself?
The mirror creating images, reflections.
Creating mistaken conceptions, mistaken
illusory
images.
But they don't really exist.
If they're illusory, they don't really exist.
They don't.
Well, that's a strange thing for the mirror to do. Doesn't it ever get tired of this nonsense?
Well, the mirror is not really doing it. It appears to be doing it.
Then what is doing it?
Nothing.
Nothing is doing it.
There's no doing going on.
Occurring.
Nothing is
Comes down
occurring.
to that. It's just plain not occurring.
It's not occurring.
So that's why everything is peaceful. And there's no...
That's why when your mind is quiet, you find bliss.
And peace.
I don't understand why Ed feels I in his chest.
That happens.
Even though you talk about nothingness.
Of course, but before you come to nothingness, you can feel it in your chest. That's happened to lots of people. We talk about nothingness, but are you experiencing nothingness? Talking about it and experiencing it is two different things.
And there are different levels to that also. I mean, Ed was feeling that there was nothing there. He was nothing at some level, but evidently it wasn't the deepest level, because now the sense of an I is recurring and causing some pain.
Yeah. To some people, there appears to be levels.
That's another illusion. Okay. Illusions certainly appear as though they were there.
That's why also I always bring up.
Momentarily, you know they're momentary, but while they last, they look to be there.
This is why I always bring up the sky is blue. Always think of that when you get confused. Because in reality, there's no sky, there's no blue. There's just space. But we think the sky is blue. And the snake is the rope, and the rope is the snake. We think in the dark, the rope is a snake. But upon investigation, we find it's a rope. And once we find it's a rope, we'll never be tricked again. So once you find your reality, you can never be fooled again. Or like the mirage in the desert, when you see water, upon investigation there's no water, there's only sand. So we see things, we see images. Our senses tell us there are images all over. But upon investigation you find that there are no images at all, they don't exist. There's only space. And the images are superimposed in space. But the images do not exist of their own accord. If the self did not exist, there would be no images.
So the self is producing the images?
Apparently.
Apparently or action?
Apparently. Because the self really does not produce anything, but it appears to.
It induces them indirectly?
The self is contained in itself. The self is self-contained. It does absolutely nothing. But as long as we are an image, or we believe we're the body, the self appears to project images. But when you realize that you're not the body, that all stops.
That's the Maya.
That's the Maya. The Leela.
Leela. Too much Leela.
Well, many people enjoy the play because they wish to continue. They keep identifying with their conditions and their situations, and upon with their health, with their bank accounts, with their wives, with their husbands. They keep identifying with those things. And as long as you're attached to anything, you cannot find freedom. I'm not saying you shouldn't have anything. Possess all you want, but never be possessed by your possessions.
Or anyone else's possessions.
was talking to one woman who saw you that I recommended come here. And she said, Robert is too advanced for me. I like Maya. I just want it more comfortable.
That's the state of most people. Of course.
Yeah.
But she was clear about it.
Of course.
Yeah. At least right now, your choice.
Sure. That's why the world is in the precarious condition it's in. Because everybody's involved in their own game, so to speak.